Pin and strain are annoying on their own, but when they team up, it can lead to some confusing interactions. Before we dive into the combo though, let's highlight a couple individual things. When a pinned character would dash, advance, climb, or jump, they remove the pin instead. I'm going to collectively refer to those four things as moves in this video. Technically, pushes and pulls are listed as ways to move on page 24, but pin does not interact with pushes or pulls. But enough qualifiers, back to examples. Let's say these Magna Guards start their turn pinned. They take a move action. The first one tries to move and instead removes the pin. The second one can now move freely. The move itself never happens. If an ability is contingent upon a dash, advance, climb, or jump, but a pin takes the move away, that ability won't trigger. Consider Captain Rex. Say he's pinned and uses defensive maneuver. It says he may dash. Rex instead removes the pin. Then, if he dashed, he gets a hunker. Rex never actually dashed, so no hunker. I want to look at a different example though to highlight something very important. Gar Saxon is pinned and takes a move action. He loses the pin. The pin canceled the move, but not the move action, if that makes sense. One more time. Gar takes a move action. That move action then says advance, dash, or climb. Let's say he chooses advance. The pin then says, no, you can't advance, and then goes away. Gar still took a move action. His ability, Mandalorians Are Stronger Together, triggers on a move action, so Gar can still get a free focus action if he has a Mandalorian buddy nearby. Point 1. When a unit triggers a strain and takes 3 damage, that is a neutral effect. Let's look at Dooku's Brave but Foolish ability. It triggers when an allied primary or secondary is wounded by an enemy effect. If Dooku's friend Jango moves, takes 3 damage from a strain, and becomes wounded, that isn't an enemy effect, even if an enemy gave Jango that strain. Make sure you read abilities carefully, because they can have different triggers. Consider Luminara's Flow of the Force. To get the dash effect, she just cares that an enemy unit became wounded. She doesn't care how. Point 2. A unit doesn't actually have to suffer damage to remove the strain. This comes up when a wounded unit does something that would trigger a strain. Say, this B1 is wounded and strained, and some effect allows it to dash. The dash would trigger the strain, which would then try to deal 3 damage to the B1. It's wounded, so it doesn't take the damage, but still gets to remove the strain. So what happens when a character is both pinned and strained? No damage because no move? Not exactly. It depends. Page 35 lists everything that can trigger a strain. I've copied it here for ease of reference. Pin stops those 4 items on the left, but doesn't do anything about the 4 on the right. When pinned and strained, where the move came from will determine whether or not the strain triggers. Let's go back to that Gar example. Now he's pinned and strained. He takes a move action, tries to advance, but loses the pin instead. The advance never happened, but the action did, so he triggers the strain. Let's look back at Rex, and now he's pinned and strained. He uses defensive maneuver. The pin stops the dash, but he used an active ability, so the strain goes off. But what if Rex uses his tactical ability on himself? It also gives a dash, which the pin cancels. However, using tactical abilities doesn't trigger strain, so Rex is okay. When a character is pinned and strained, if you're not sure whether or not the strain is triggered, look at where the move came from and consult the list of strain triggers on page 35. That's all for this video. Hopefully you learned a little something about all these conditions.